I guess Dr. Jude Momodu is going to join us now via phone from Yola. He is the Director, Center for Peace and Security Studies at the Modubo Adama University. Dr. Jude, Professor Jude, I beg your pardon. Good morning.
Good morning, Abdullah. How are you today?
Thank you very much. We're doing well. We're talking about the Nigerian situation. This is the sixth coup in just 3 years in this part of the region, in the West Africa region precisely. What are your initial thoughts about what happened in Niger yesterday and the eventual announcement that the military has taken over the country?
Well, it's not a surprising development. Of course, we have seen since the last 2 years, we have seen a resurgence of military coups in Africa. Again, in 2021, there was a coup attempt also against the president that was just voted out of office. So you see that we are now seeing a resurgence of coup. Between 1956 and 2001, a total of 188 coups took place in Africa. Of this number, 80 were successful, 108 were not successful. And because since democracy has been ushered in Africa, it does actually boys who are to be boys in khaki to want to take over, at least to allay the fears and the frustration of the people. We saw what happened in Guinea when the military took over. People were even in the public, they were kissing the military, just appreciating them and praising them to come to
right.
To assist them from.
Yeah.
All right, Prof.
Yes, that's my initial.
Okay.
My initial.
All right, Prof. But how significant is this particular coup at the time that we are relying on the authorities in Niger to help us push with the fight against terrorism on the Nigerian side, and more importantly, because our president had assumed the responsibility of the ECOWAS chair? How do you think, as a country, we should approach what's happening in Niger because of its implication for the cordial relationship that had always existed between these two countries on the one hand, and the fact that we are already overstretched, whether financially as a country or even military-wise with our soldiers engaged in 32 out of the 36 states of the Federation. How do you think we should respond to what's happening?
Yes, I think Niger is very strategic to Nigeria's national security. For a long time, Niger has been a buffer in terms of a buffer stopping the illicit flow of arms from Libya. That's what I said that some arms are not managing to come in. But Niger has been a buffer. And again, we have a common border with Niger, and we have a lot of commonalities with Niger. We have some Nigerians around Castina, Dawa area have relations in Niger. So Niger is a very strategic friend and that's why it's important that the president of the country should act very swift. I'm happy about what he did yesterday. Already, as the president of ECOWAS, he has commissioned the president of
Benin Republic to go and mediate in the conflict. Unfortunately, I think that is coming rather too late because the military has already ousted the democratic government. You understand? But that's not said that something cannot be done. Maybe what we now insist is to ensure that the military brings up a timetable for elections to be conducted so that the military will not stay too long in power, maybe in the next 6 months, so that there can be election, then the government cannot transit back to democratic governance. So that's what that mediatory role is very important as the president of ECOWAS, chairman of ECOWAS, as well as the fact that we have a strategic relationship with Niger. But again, I think now ECOWAS should now try to. I expect ECOWAS to quickly call an emergency meeting to discuss the issue of the military takeover in Niger, as well as also try to also use the platform of the EU also
to see what can be done, at least in the interim, so that the military will not remain, as we have seen. Look at...
Yeah. What is actually on the table as far as options are concerned for ECOWAS, for the African Union? Condemnation, everybody can condemn anything from afar, but in reality, what is actually on the table to turn things around? Because you did allude to one thing, which is that, you know, there is this growing appetite for military coups, largely because the people identify with the agenda of the military. Whenever they take over, they talk about political instability in a country, for instance, whether it's Niger or Guinea-Bissau, or as the case may be right now. And you also identified how sometimes people do appreciate this military interregnums or coups where the political powers that be are not necessarily addressing some of these concerns. So what does that tell us about the pattern as well as the appreciation for some of these developments? Because for some people, this is a good problem to have, especially when you're trying to address insecurity and the economic situation of a country. But more to the point, what are the options on the table for the ECOWAS, for the African Union, as far as resolving this issue is concerned?
I think the option in the immediate term for the ECOWAS and African Union to go beyond the mere condemnations, in fact, to try to see how to insist that government will not be recognized, and to also see what they can do to with a view to forcing that government to hand over to even if it's a transitional government. So that's very important. But again, I think what is also very, very important and crucial is that we are now seeing this resurgence of coup. It points to the fact that democracy is failing in Africa. Democracy is not failing in Africa. Democracy, it's important to the fact that democracy is failing in Africa. So if democracy is failing in Africa, African Union and ECOWAS should quickly do something about what? About addressing, rejigging democracy. And the only way that can be done is what? First, to ensure that they provide the dividends of democracy to the people. And that way, that will bring about confidence building in the people, because people are losing they've lost faith in democracy. But let me quickly say that that even the military that is coming to take over now, the military also do not have solutions to the problem. Look at the issue of Mali. Look at Guinea, where military is empowered. They've not been able to turn around the table to ensure that the same problems that they have accused the politicians of not being able to tackle, that they're able to tackle it also. So I think what's important is that the African leaders must tell themselves the truth. That they are the reason why military, we are now witnessing the resurgence of military coup. That is very, very important. They should tell themselves the truth, because we are not talking about the case of Niger today. Nigeria is also on the path. Nigeria is also, look at what's happening in the country today. God forbid that Nigeria should go the way of Niger again. And as I say also, because most of the countries in Africa, they are fragile. They are fragile states. Fragile states with bad economy, you understand, without sufficient infrastructure, you understand. So as long as the issues that the key drivers of the fragility of these African states are not addressed sufficiently through the instrumentality of governance, we will continue to face. So the point being is that the African leaders themselves need to ensure that they fix the issue of governance. Look at what happened in Zimbabwe of recent. The president just woke up and sent a bill, passed a bill that anybody who criticizes the government would be arrested and prosecuted. These are some of the things that is making the military to come to come to the corridors of power. So the point I'm making is that in addition to that, I think AU should also join in the mediation effort that's currently being championed by ECOWAS. They should also join the mediation effort so that they can talk to the military leaders as well as the politicians to see how they can find a common ground within them, so that the military can go to the barrack and while also getting the politicians to address the issues that are brought forward.
Okay, speaking of regional security, we all understand the task at hand, the fight against ISWAP, the fight against Boko Haram, the illicit flow of illegal weapons from different parts of the country has always been on the front burner. But we all are, as far as Nigeria is concerned, we're surrounded by really volatile countries, whether it's Niger or Cameroon dealing with its own internal security situation, or in Chad, where the situation is also a very volatile one. Give me an understanding of what you think the immediate consequence of this military coup could be on our military and strategic regional security initiative to stabilize this part of the Sub-Sahara.
Yes, I don't want to look at it from a negative perspective. Perhaps even this military regime may even help, do well in terms of what helping to deal with issues of insecurity in Niger, and they also have to also bring more vigor in the effort of multinational joint task force.
Prof, just so I get you clearly, you're saying this could be good news as far as addressing security concerns in the region is concerned? Is that what you're saying?
It's cool. You know, it's too early for us to judge, to assess the military junta. Yes, sir, but what I'm saying is that you know the military. What the politicians will tolerate, the military will not tolerate it. You knew what the ex president of Chad did, how he dealt with the issues of insecurity, including Boko Haram. Yeah. You understand? So what I'm saying is that it depends on it's too early for us. But then again, it could be what it could be. It will also have a positive impact on the fight against insurgency within the Chad region. However, you understand that all hopes are on the military junta now in Niger. People will also expect that
okay.
Be able to turn around the tide. You understand?
Prof, unfortunately we have to go, but I mean, I imagine it's going to be difficult for a President Tinubu to work with a military junta that he obviously, as chair of ECOWAS, does not appreciate in the first place. But then again, it's something that we can explore some other time. Unfortunately, we're out of time for now. Professor Jude, thank you so much for joining the conversation. We do appreciate your insight on this one. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. And I suppose this is where we're going to have to leave it for today's edition of Daybreak. Thank you most kindly for investing your time on the show. Let's do this again tomorrow live at 8 a.m. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time and company.
All right. If you have missed out on any of our discussion sessions, you can make up by visiting our social media handle, either on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, and catch up on all of the interesting conversations that we've brought to you this morning. It's been an interesting conversation. We wish you a very progressive day ahead. I am Sunday Michael Ogu.